Have you ever sat alone in a room and felt a strange discomfort creep in? Not because something was wrong around you, but because something was stirring within you. You pick up your phone, you scroll, you distract yourself. But why? What are you really trying to avoid? It's not boredom, it's not silence, it's you. You don't fear loneliness, you fear facing who you really are. Most people will live their whole lives surrounded by noise, external noise from the world and internal noise from their own mind, just to avoid the quiet truth waiting inside them, because in the silence, the masks start to fall. And for once, you see your unfiltered self. No filters, no audience, no applause, just you. That moment is terrifying for many. But why? Because when you remove everything, your job title, your followers, your friends, your routine, you're left with the raw, unpolished version of yourself. And sometimes that version carries pain, regret, insecurity, dreams left behind, words left unsaid, wounds that never got a chance to heal, and you realize loneliness isn't the enemy, avoidance is. The truth is, people aren't addicted to their phones, they're addicted to escaping themselves. People aren't afraid of being alone. They're afraid of sitting with their truth. Psychologists call it self-confrontation, the uncomfortable process of becoming aware of your flaws, your fears, your desires. Most people never master it because it hurts. But here's the twist. That pain, it's power in disguise. Because what hurts you the most is often what's keeping you from becoming who you were meant to be. Every great leader, every powerful voice, every confident soul had to pass through that uncomfortable space first. They had to sit with the parts of themselves no one else saw. They had to face their guilt, their doubts, their shadows. They didn't run from the mirror. They stood still in front of it. They didn't scroll. They didn't escape. They looked inward and asked, "Who am I when no one's watching?" And the answer didn't come easy, but when it did, it gave them something priceless: clarity. Clarity creates strength. Strength creates presence. And presence makes your words unshakable. This is the power most people will never tap into because they're too busy avoiding the silence where that power lives. You want to communicate like a leader? You want to speak with confidence, influence, and calm? Then start with the one person you speak to the most, yourself. Because when your inner voice becomes clear, your outer voice becomes unstoppable. So don't fear being alone. Use it. Or don't run from that empty room. Step into it. That's not emptiness. It's a beginning. A place where the old you dies and the real you is born. And the most powerful version of you, it's hiding just behind the silence you've been avoiding. This video will take you through that silence, through the discomfort, through the transformation. And if you stay till the end, you'll not only learn how to talk like a leader, you'll learn how to think, feel, and live like one. Because communication is not about big words. It's about inner truth, so stay with me. The next few minutes could change the way you speak, and more importantly, change the way you see yourself. People say they hate being alone, but that's not the full truth, because being alone isn't the real problem. It's what happens in the quiet that unsettles us. In silence, the noise inside gets louder, and in that noise, you hear everything you've been trying to ignore. The past you buried, the shame you carry, the version of yourself you wish didn't exist. So instead, you stay busy. You keep the music on. You keep the schedule full. You talk, scroll, work, repeat, because if you stop, if you actually pause, you might hear the truth whispering back at you. And the truth is simple. You've been avoiding yourself. You tell others you're tired. You say you're overworked, too busy, too stressed. But deep down, you know that's not it. You're scared of the stillness, because stillness tells the truth. It shows you where you've been settling. It shows you the habits that are draining you. It shows you the life you're pretending to love, but secretly want to escape. And here's what most people never realize. Avoiding that truth doesn't make it disappear. It only makes it stronger. What you run from rules you. What you face frees you. So the question isn't, why do I feel alone? The real question is, what part of me am I afraid to face? That answer changes everything. Because when you stop lying to yourself, you start building from truth. And truth is the only foundation strong enough to hold real power. You can't lead with lies. You can't speak with strength if you whisper to yourself in fear. Honesty with yourself is the beginning of all influence. It's the moment when your words gain weight and your presence gains purpose. So stop running. Face it. Freedom starts there. Silence is a mirror. It doesn't lie. It doesn't flatter. It reflects exactly what's there. And that's why so many avoid it. Because when the world is quiet, your real self shows up. Not the version you post online. Not the version you show in public, but the one you try to bury. And what you see in that mirror can either break you or build you. It all depends on what you do next. Some people look into that mirror and run. They distract themselves, numb the feeling, push it away. They say, "This isn't me." But deep down, they know it is. The pain they feel is not because of who they are, it's because of who they pretend to be. Pretending is exhausting. And when the mirror shows the gap between who you are and who you act like, that's when you feel the pressure. But here's what most never understand. The mirror is not your enemy. It's your starting line. It's not judging you, it's inviting you to see clearly, inviting you to stop hiding, inviting you to grow, because the moment you accept who you really are, that's the moment you gain control. You're no longer scared of what might show up in silence. You meet it with strength. You face it with courage. And something powerful happens. You begin to trust yourself, not because you're perfect, but because you're honest. That trust becomes your anchor. That honesty becomes your edge. And when you speak from that place, people feel it, because words from a fake version of you are just noise. But words from the real you can move mountains. There's a voice inside you. You've heard it. But most of the time, you silence it. You cover it up with distractions, opinions, endless noise, because deep down, that voice makes you uncomfortable. It knows too much. It remembers everything you've tried to forget. But here's the truth. That voice is not your enemy. It's your guide. It knows what you're capable of. It knows what you've avoided. And it knows the difference between who you are and who you're supposed to be. You think ignoring it will bring peace. But avoidance only creates pressure. A pressure that shows up as anxiety, frustration, even anger, without reason. Because when your inner voice is silenced too long, it starts to fight back. You can't lead your life while you're at war with yourself. And you can't speak with clarity when your own voice has been shut out. Facing that voice takes courage. It means listening to what you don't want to hear, admitting the truth you've denied, owning the dreams you've buried, acknowledging the pain you never faced. But here's what happens when you do. You stop guessing who you are. You stop chasing validation. You start becoming solid, unshakable from within. That voice, it becomes your compass. It keeps you aligned. It warns you when you drift. It grounds you when the world gets loud. The most confident people aren't the loudest. They're the ones who've made peace with their inner world. They don't speak to impress. They speak to express. Because they trust what they're saying. And more importantly, they trust who's saying it. You don't need a louder voice. You need a clearer one. And clarity comes from within. So stop shutting that voice out. Sit with it, learn from it, and let it shape the words the world will one day hear. Your brain is wired to protect you. It avoids pain. It avoids discomfort. That's survival. But in today's world, survival isn't about running from lions. It's about facing thoughts you've avoided for years. And that's where the brain gets it wrong. Because not all discomfort is danger. Sometimes discomfort is truth knocking on the door. Yet we run from it. We fill our time with noise. We chase achievements, relationships, entertainment, anything to stay busy. But here's what psychology tells us. Avoidance doesn't erase pain. It buries it. And buried pain doesn't die. It grows in the dark. It shapes your behavior, your fears, your decisions, without you even knowing it. You avoid hard conversations. You hesitate to speak your truth. You shrink in rooms where you should rise. And you don't even realize it's not because you lack skills. It's because you've built a life avoiding what actually matters. Avoidance steals clarity. And without clarity, your words become weak, uncertain, forgettable. People don't follow loud voices. They follow clear ones. Clear words come from a clear mind, a mind that has nothing to hide from itself. So the real challenge isn't communication. It's confrontation with your own mind. Ask yourself, what truth have I been avoiding? What emotion have I pushed away for too long? What dream have I silenced to stay comfortable? The answers aren't easy, but they're necessary, because you can't rise while running, you can't lead while hiding, and you can't influence while being influenced by fear. Your power begins the moment you stop avoiding. Face the thoughts. Feel the discomfort. Break the pattern. The path to a strong voice starts in the silence you've been afraid to enter. Most people aren't trapped by circumstance. They're trapped by comfort. They don't stay stuck because they have no options. They stay stuck because they don't want to feel the discomfort that comes with change. It's easier to keep the routine. It's safer to keep the mask, even if it means slowly dying inside. We are creatures of habit. Psychology shows we repeat what feels familiar, not what feels right. So even when something no longer serves us, we cling to it because we fear what comes after. And nothing feels more unfamiliar than the truth. That's why people stay busy. They say, I have too much to do, but deep down they just don't want to be still. Because in stillness you hear it, that quiet voice reminding you that you were meant for more, that you're not where you should be, that your potential is screaming beneath your fear. It's uncomfortable, it's unsettling, and that's why most people push it away. They fear being alone not because they hate silence, but because silence tells the truth. And truth, it demands action. It demands change. It demands you to rise above the excuses, the patterns, the lies you've told yourself for years. That's why staying stuck feels easier, because movement requires honesty, and honesty requires courage. But here's the hard fact. If you wait until it's comfortable, you'll wait forever. Growth was never meant to feel safe. Speaking up, showing up, stepping forward, it always feels risky. But so does wasting your life. So ask yourself, am I really stuck? Or am I just afraid to move? The moment you choose discomfort over denial, that's the moment you start becoming unstoppable. There's a kind of honesty that most people never experience, not with the world, not with others, but with themselves. It's called radical self-honesty. It's not gentle. It doesn't comfort. It cuts through the noise. It forces you to look at the real reasons behind your choices. Why you quit, why you stay silent, why you keep running in circles. It doesn't let you blame others. It doesn't allow excuses. It puts the mirror in front of you and asks, what part of this is your responsibility? Most people avoid this level of truth because it shatters the stories they've used to protect themselves. Stories like, I'm just unlucky, no one supports me, or it's too late for me. But those aren't truths. They're shields. And shields don't help you grow. They just keep you hidden. Radical honesty is different. It burns, but it cleanses. It humbles you, but it also frees you. Because once you own your truth, no one can use it against you. You stop fearing judgment. You stop seeking approval. You walk into rooms with peace because nothing inside you is pretending anymore. That's where real confidence is born. Not from pretending to be perfect, but from being real and still standing tall. You want to speak with power? Start by being brutally honest with yourself. Say it, I'm afraid. I've been lazy, I've been hiding. And then decide that your past is not your future. The truth will never weaken you, but hiding from it will. So step into the fire of self-awareness. Let it strip away the fake layers. Let it burn down the lies. And from that place, rise. Because nothing speaks louder than someone who knows exactly who they are. Sit with yourself. No phone, no music, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. Sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things a person can do. Because when you sit in silence, everything hidden rises. The fears you've buried, the dreams you've postponed, the questions you've never dared to ask. And yet, this is where strength is born. We've been trained to believe strength is loud, that it's about doing more, saying more, being more. But true strength isn't in how much noise you make. It's in how still you can stay when everything inside you wants to run. Psychology proves it. Those who avoid solitude are often avoiding themselves. And those who embrace it, they grow faster. They speak with depth. They lead with clarity. Because when you sit with yourself long enough, something shifts. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing opinions. You start recognizing your own voice and realizing it was always enough. You understand your pain isn't a weakness. It's a teacher. Your past isn't a prison. It's preparation. And that noise in your head, it quiets when it feels heard. But most people never get there. They distract themselves forever, running from a mirror they've never dared to face. Don't be most people. Be the one who has the courage to sit in the silence and listen, to feel the discomfort and not flinch, to meet your own soul and not look away. Because when you can face yourself fully, without guilt, without shame, without filters, you become unshakable. And that kind of presence, that kind of peace, it can't be faked. The world feels it, and it follows. Vulnerability is often seen as weakness, but it's the exact opposite. True power comes when you allow yourself to be seen, completely and honestly. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. In fact, trying to hide your flaws only makes your voice smaller. The most influential people speak from a place of truth. They share their struggles, their doubts, their failures. Not to gain sympathy, but to connect. Because connection is the root of influence. When you embrace your vulnerability, something shifts inside. You stop pretending. You stop hiding behind masks. And you begin to speak with authenticity. Authenticity commands respect. It draws people in. It builds trust. And trust is the foundation of all communication. Your fear of being judged or rejected is real, but it's also an illusion that keeps you trapped. Imagine how different your words would be if you weren't afraid. If you could stand in front of any room and speak from your heart without worrying about mistakes or opinions. That freedom comes from embracing your true self, flaws, fears, and all. When you own your story, your voice becomes a magnet. People listen because they see realness. They feel your courage, and they want to follow. So stop trying to be perfect. Stop hiding your truth. Speak your story with pride. That's the communication secret successful people know. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's your greatest strength. Confidence isn't something you find outside yourself. It's something you build from within. You might think confidence comes from success, praise, or approval, but those things are temporary. They come and go. True confidence is steady. It doesn't depend on others. It's rooted in knowing who you are and accepting it fully. That means owning your strengths without arrogance, owning your weaknesses without shame. It means standing tall even when you feel unsure, because confidence isn't about never feeling fear. It's about moving forward in spite of fear. Psychology shows that people who practice self-acceptance speak more clearly and boldly. Their words carry weight because they believe in their own value. So instead of chasing confidence, create it. Start by being honest with yourself every day. Celebrate small wins. Learn from failures without judgment. Practice speaking your truth in small moments. Whether it's a conversation with a friend or a quick comment in a meeting, use your voice. The more you do it, the stronger your confidence grows. And when your confidence grows from the inside out, nothing can shake it. Remember, you don't need to be perfect to be confident. You just need to be real. Confidence built on truth lasts. It empowers your voice, and it inspires others to listen. Self-awareness is the secret ingredient many overlook. It's the ability to know your thoughts, feelings, and reactions and understand how they affect your words. Without self-awareness, communication becomes a guessing game. You speak, but your message misses the mark. You try to connect, but something feels off. When you develop self-awareness, everything changes. You start noticing what triggers you, your fears, your doubts, your biases. You learn to pause before reacting. You choose your words with intention, not impulse. This pause creates space for clarity, and clarity is magnetic. People are drawn to those who think before they speak. They trust those who respond, not react. Psychology teaches that self-awareness also helps you read others better. You become more empathetic, more understanding. You sense what others need to hear, not just what you want to say. That's the power of self-awareness. It turns communication into connection, and connection builds influence. So, if you want to talk like a leader, start by looking inward. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Why am I reacting this way? How can I express this clearly and calmly? This honest reflection sharpens your message. It makes your voice clear, confident, and compelling. Without self-awareness, you speak, but you don't lead. With it, your words become a force others want to follow. Fear of judgment is one of the biggest barriers to speaking up. It's the voice that says, what if they don't like me? What if I sound stupid? What if I mess up? This fear feels real. It's deeply rooted in our need to belong. We want acceptance, approval, and love. But here's the truth. You will never control what others think of you, and trying to do so only shrinks your voice. Successful people don't waste energy worrying about judgment. They accept it as part of the process. They understand that not everyone will agree, and that's okay. The key is this. Focus on your message, not on others' opinions. When you shift your focus inward, you realize your worth isn't based on approval. It's based on authenticity. Psychology shows that when you stop fearing judgment, your body relaxes, your mind clears, and your voice grows stronger. You begin to speak with freedom, not perfection. Remember, every leader, every successful communicator started where you are now. They faced their fears. They stumbled. They kept going. Judgment will never disappear, but your courage can outgrow your fear. So stop asking for permission to speak. Own your voice, speak your truth, and watch how your confidence inspires others to listen. Consistency is the quiet power behind every strong voice. It's not about saying something once and hoping it sticks. It's about showing up again and again with the same message, clear and confident. When you are consistent, people begin to trust you. They know what to expect from your words. Your message becomes reliable, and reliability breeds respect. Inconsistent communication breeds doubt. It confuses people. It weakens your influence. Psychology reveals that our brains crave patterns. We feel safe when things are predictable. When your words are consistent, you create that safety for others. They feel drawn to your clarity. Consistency also strengthens your own confidence. Every time you practice speaking your truth, you build a habit. And habits shape identity. You become the person who speaks up, not the one who hesitates or doubts. Remember, no one becomes a great communicator overnight. It takes small, steady steps, daily practice, and commitment. So commit to your voice. Show up for yourself every day. Speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Because over time, that consistency turns your voice from a whisper into a roar. And people will listen, not just because of what you say, but because of how you say it again and again. When you speak authentically, something powerful happens beyond just your own growth. Your words create ripples. You inspire others. You give them permission to be real too. Because authenticity is contagious. Think about the people who moved you, the leaders, the mentors, the friends. What made them unforgettable? It wasn't just their message. It was their truth, the way they owned their story and shared it without fear. When you communicate from that place of honesty and courage, you spark change, not only in yourself, but in those around you. Your voice becomes a light for others who are lost in silence, a guide for those struggling to find their own. And here's the beauty. The more you show up authentically, the stronger your impact grows. Your influence expands. You build a community rooted in trust and real connection. Psychology supports this. People naturally seek out genuine connections. They follow those who reflect their own struggles and hopes, not those who pretend to be perfect. So don't underestimate the power of your real voice. By embracing who you truly are, you invite others to do the same. Your words can heal, motivate, and transform. But only if they come from a place of honesty. Speak your truth. Be bold in your authenticity, and watch the ripple effect change lives, starting with your own. Every word you speak leaves a mark. Your voice is more than sound. It's a legacy. It's the story you tell the world about who you are. What do you want that story to be? Do you want to be remembered as someone who hid behind fear, someone who stayed silent when it mattered most, or as a person who faced themselves fully, spoke their truth, and inspired others to do the same? The choice is yours. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs real voices that come from courage, honesty, and strength. Your voice shapes your reality. It shapes your relationships, your opportunities, and your impact. And it all begins inside by facing your own fears and embracing your true self. Remember, no one can steal your voice unless you give it away. No one can define you but you. So rise up, speak clearly, speak boldly, and leave a legacy that outlives fear and silence. Your voice is your power. Use it wisely. Use it bravely, because the world is waiting to hear the real you.